Okay, I've not had this window or sliding door for very long, and actually I still don't know if it leaks or not. It shouldn't, but it might do. I've not got a chance to check it yet. There's too much flex in this panel, you can't tell with that, but there is. And I want to do something with the interior of the thing, so I'm thinking a pair of wooden beams either side, and then tongue and groove across the beams would be simple enough. And I can put a couple of blocks behind the beams just to pad it out to stop it from flexing. That should work alright. Okay, so this is what I've got in mind. I've guessed at the angle at the bottom there, cut it off, and it's pretty close, it's not far off. Guessed at both angles and getting pretty close now to as far as I can get, because it's not going to go flush. It's certainly not going to go flush to the actual panel, but it might go flush to that bit there and this edge up here, so just a tiny bit more off, and that'll do me for the first one. Okay, I've just taken the heel out of that a little bit more with the file after cutting it, and now I'm not going to get that much closer. That is pretty close. So now I want to make a block to go between here and the actual outer panel there. Okay, so I've cut this to size out an off-cut piece of decking, and it's just the right size now. It just wants, I've drilled it, it just wants countersinking to fasten it to the beam. Okay, so I've attached these two together. Just got to put it back in with the frame. So that's nice and tight against the panel. So once the second one's in, when the door shuts, hopefully the window panel won't flex a bit like it currently does. Let's just see what it does when I close it. Still bouncing about a bit, but once the second one's in, it should be better. Okay, so it's the next day. I'm very surprised actually how quick I did that. I weren't intending doing anything today, but I've varnished the back end of the woodwork with what I did in the last episode. And now I'm going to put the second piece of this in. I'm feeling quite inspired by how quick I got that done. So it's very difficult to measure this exactly and get a piece fitted accurately. So what I did with that one and what I'm going to obviously do with this one is just measure it a little bit too long, make it a bit too long, get the angles as close as I can, and then just take a bit off at a time until it fits nice and snug. When I first got, that's not too far out. How much off? A quarter of an inch maybe, perhaps a bit more. It's not far off. Okay, so after a couple of small cuts, that is now spot on. Now that little bit is a piece that I actually cut for that yesterday, but it was a little bit too thin. But for this, I've just tried it, and for this, it is spot on. What I think I'm going to do is use the bonding stuff to actually bond that to that panel, the bonding stuff for the window, if it's still fluid, and bond that to the panel. Okay, so I'm drilling these the cut face, but at 90 degrees to the actual cut face, so I've got the proper angle for the screw to go in. Okay, so I've turned the wood over, I need to countersink this face at the same angle of the cut. Now I haven't got the proper equipment, so I have to do it my way, which is in a bit. And then get the angle. Okay, so I've drilled and countersunk the little spacing block, and I'm just now going to put 2 tiny holes in this piece just to guide the screws in. Okay, so I've got that block attached to the beam. You might notice when you do this, depending on what vehicle you've got, obviously the top angle is different from the bottom one, so it's a sharper angle at the top. Now I'm just going to drill the holes. I've got little marks where the drill holes need to be, so yeah, that's the front one fastened in. It's quite tight. So now I'm going to see if the bonded, bonding stuff is still liquid. If it's not, then I'll just leave it like that. This is actually still fluid. It's only about 3 weeks since I put the window in, so I'm going to give this a go. This actually might not work with wood and metal, but let's put the primer on and give it a go. Okay, so the dispenser itself was seized up, so I've had to get it out here, get the stuff out with a screwdriver from the front, but I've got someone, so it should work. Okay, so I managed to get both of them in place without getting the bonding stuff all over everything. So the next thing, I'm going to fit in another 2. I made my mind up about this front one because that bit there's a problem. So I'm not sure if fitting that one, something there, is a waste of time. I might just put a short one there, fasten it to that edge somehow. This one is more clear cut. I can do one similar to this right at that extreme end and possibly fasten it into these curved faces here, but I'm really happy with that to now. Okay, so I've just it's a couple of days later. I've just washed and used wax polish on the inside of this sliding door, get some of the scuffs off and that. It looks a lot better for it, but there's still quite a few scratches on it. That's quite a nasty gouge. I'm just going to mask it off a bit and just chuck some white ammonite on it. Okay, so I'll put a couple of coats on this door. It's only supposed to be a quick sort-up job. I just wanted it looking passable, that's all. I'll put more attention into sorting these, well, that gouge particularly, at some later date, because see, that is just too involved. I'm not touching that now, but that is now ready for me to put another beam down here and another support about here, and that'll, I think really that'll do it. I could start putting tongue and groove on. From last episode, me redoing this wall, I've had to cut this down a bit, put it back in. It looks a lot better for this being back in position now, a lot better. The only other thing I've done today is made just a couple of little decorative panels for here. I might make another one here, possibly one down here, just cover some of these holes up. They'll look a bit strange. But now the enclosure's been delivered and I've put tape on it to mark it up where I need to cut it, so that's where I'm looking it to be, tied up to there but up to top, and then edge piece comes here and that should tidy that up really much nicer than it was before. Okay, so I've got that. Just going to cut the lid out now and fasten that on. Just cut the lid, but annoyingly I've cut into it too deep that way, which might cause me a problem. I might just have to buy another of these just for the lid, and they're not cheap. Yeah, it's a £6.50, which is, it's not cheap for what it is. Okay, so it's the day after. I've got this cut to shape. I'll be honest, a lot of this with guesswork, trying to get the angle of this, because it's like it's a compound curve up there, it goes two ways. So it was guesswork and then a bit of iteration, just sort of sawing away at it, filing away at it, trying to get it right. I'm just hoping, we're drilling these, it's only a thin strip of wood down there, and that might easily pull out. Okay, so it's later same day. I had a bit of a job getting that in, because I've drilled the hole not very well there. I had to re-drill the hole. I did at one bit remake this a bit longer and try that, but ended up still making it a bit short. It's a bit awkward getting it sized right. But anyway, I mean, it's in firmly enough. I've put two blocks in here. They're not pretty. They're functional. It's pretty much the same work as I've done before, so I've not bothered filming it. And now the exciting bit, I'll start putting tongue and groove on. Yeah, I just finished it there. I've ended up making quite decent progress really, but I didn't want to carry on and try to make that piece because that is quite complex. Curves at the end there, curves at the end here, and I suppose realistically it might take me a couple of goes to make it. I want to do it feeling fresh and awake. Yeah, I've realised also I'm going to need a little block here, because otherwise for this bit that's attached here, there's only going to be this to attach to, obviously, as well as the tongue, but it does need something there as well, so I'll have to sort something out tomorrow. Okay, so I've had to take the edge off this a couple of times to get it just right, but it's now sitting really nicely against there, so I'll just get it drilled. Okay, so that's in. That was a lot easier to make than a couple of these, because it's in a flat surface. Yeah, there's an angle on it, but it's nice and flat, there's no curve, so that was quite easy. Okay, so I'm getting this piece cut to a nice shape. Actually fits, probably could do with a tiny bit, yeah, a tiny bit taken off there. I've got exactly what I was trying to avoid. I've got to make a thin piece for in here, but it should look pretty neat when it's done. So I've got my little thin bit cut. I did it the easy way actually. I put a piece of wood interlocked into the side of that and then continued the line in pen and then measured 30mm over that. So that was quite easy. Just wants a little bit taken off of the inside edge. Probably all the way, all along it actually. Okay, so I had to shave some of the back off to get it to sit in a bit better. I did end up taking a little bit off of the back side of that just to get that sitting a bit better too. I'm knocking off early today, but I've made pretty good progress. I might just, this just out a little bit, and I think just to cure it I might just flatten the edge off. Just take these two pieces off and just flatten it off a lot more, rather than trying to get it to sit in more, because I'll end up taking quite a bit off anyway. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, so it's the day after. I just got this put in, not finished. I've got to just cut that line down a bit there. I want to let as much light in as possible, so I want this slightly below that line, just a little bit below. Another thing is, this is arguably a bit too short there. So what I want to do to get around it, which evens everything out nicely, is just get my straight line there and just cut them all into a straight line. So I've got that in. Take me a little bit of time to get that fairly flat. Got a decent line on that now. And it's looking quite good. Unfortunately, these last 2, possibly 3 pieces are all awkward. Okay, so let's, I've got the same problem at the bottom of the window that I had at the top. So I need a piece roughly this thickness, this width, sorry. So this is how I did the previous one. Just connected it up there. So then just carry the line on. I have to turn that all the way up. Let's cut it and then we'll see. Okay, so this is actually the top one. I've got I fitted the bottom one, that's alright, but I'm just not happy with the way this is fitting at the top, so I'm just going to trim a bit off the edge. Okay, so I've cut that top down a bit and we're all in position. So now what's varnishing? I need to sort out some edging for this. That is actually deeper than I thought, so I might not be able to get any edging deep enough for it. We'll just have to see. It's the next day. I've had a better idea than putting edging around here, although really I could cover that bit up. That's a little bit messy. Let's just sand it. We'll have to. I've cut this to length to be like the bottom shelf, if you like, in there. So what I'm going to do, I've ordered some brackets. I'll have angled brackets at each end, fit to each of these, and I'll probably put one around in the middle to attach to this face. It's going to be inclined to want to twist that way. That's the only problem. There's nothing at that side going to be supporting it, which is a bit of a problem. I say adhesive something to that panel there. I suppose I could. Anyway, the first thing I need to do before I do any of that, because it's going to take a couple of days for the brackets to come, is just put some black paint around the edge of that to disguise any gaps that might be there when I've finished it. I've got the bottom one cut and the top one cut for this. I'm just working on this rear one. It's looking pretty good, I think. Actually, yeah, that's going to do it. That's as good as I'll get, that one. So I've just got the front one to cut. Unfortunately, when it comes to fitting these, I'm going to have to do a fair bit of dismantling. But when it comes to doing each side, I'm going to have to do the same thing on the opposite side. That for the top one, and these two for the bottom one. Which is a bit of a pain, slow, but at least I've got everything cut and ready to put the brackets in and fit everything. It's the next day. This will only be a short bit of film for today. The steel brackets for the sliding window haven't come yet. I'm not really expecting them till tomorrow at the earliest. On with this rear window frame shelf, I've got them shaped okay. The only thing is they're a bit uneven there. I think I could just be taking a bit more off, say that one, that one, that one. I can get it to sit a bit better. Okay, I've taken a bit more off here and here, trying to sort the gaps out. It's as good as I can get it, but I must admit, I tried, after I'd flattened the tops off, I tried flattening these surfaces out here, and it does look better for it, getting these flush with that. So that is going to have to do. I'm on a late start today, so I don't expect to get a fantastic amount done, but I really want to get all this. I want to get all this inner framing done today if I can. Now these brackets, I've got one hole at one side and 2 holes at the other side. To avoid twist like that as much as possible, it's unlikely anyway, but to avoid it twisting remotely, I wanted to put one way around and the other way around, which I've done. But problem is, I've had to drill. It's made me drill another hole in that one, which is not so bad. And it's firmly in and it's a close fit. This is going to be nice and tight. A little bit down in the middle and it's a little bit down at the side as well, which is, I didn't really expect. I'm going to have to lift that up a bit. I've got these in position, but as you can see, I want that flex taken out of it. And also, regardless of flex, with different temperatures, if it warped and dropped down, it'll look a mess. So I want it holding there with a bracket behind here, same down at bottom, and that's going to be the difficult bit. So on with that next. Well, I've got a bracket in place here to hold. It don't actually hold it, it just supports it. I decided to take the easy way out and not actually screw it in place, but it's pretty firm, that is, it's not bad. But I want to screw this one in place, obviously, because it's going to hang down otherwise. I know from some of the previous one that I can't get the drill in there, so what I'm going to do is put a long self-tapper in, and just to start getting the hole, and then I can put a short screw in place. Okay, so if you see what I've done, I've just used that long self-tapper just to start making a hole, so it makes it easier to put a little screw in. So hopefully now I'll get a little screw in easily. Okay, I thought a crazy way of doing this that might work. I'll put the screw in the hole before I put the piece of wood in place. I've put a screwdriver in as well to hold it down, and then put the wood in place with the other hand. Hopefully I'll be in. So that method actually worked really well. So I've just got the last panel to put in, or sorry, 2 panels to put in, and it's all back together. Okay, I've got that all done. It don't look as clean as I like in a couple of places around edges. I think at the end of the day it needs edging. I've got quite a bit of this stuff. I think that'll look quite nice on there, so I'll get on with that tomorrow. Okay, I made a start on this. Got one piece in. It took me 3 goes to cut that. It's confusing and I'm an idiot at times. So I'm actually using this to stick it. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's the only thing I've got lying around. So, okay, 2 things. That bottle adhesive didn't work, but I found it now. What I was looking for. That's what I'm looking for. That will work. Also, I realised I need to take these high edges off the vertical bits to give it a better chance of sticking. So that's all along with that clad grip stuff. That's it's good stuff, that is. I've used it in the house before. I've put 1 coat of varnish on, just needs 1 more coat. I've slowed down a lot on this, how I'm doing things. But it's actually only taken me 11 days to do this, which I don't think is bad, considering I've had a few days off and that, and taking only half days work and stuff like that. But it's looking pretty good, that is. I'm quite pleased with that.